Vijaya is going to take us through a very sensitive topic, ball tampering. It's something that maybe a lot of us haven't had to deal with on the field, but you know that players are always up to tricks. And I know in the US, a lot of former international players from around the world are now coming to play in your leagues. So we need to manage these personalities. And it's very difficult to accuse a very famous international player of ball tampering if you haven't got evidence. So Vijay is going to take us through some of the clues that you can look for and how to actually, as an umpire, involve yourself in player management when it comes to ball management. Over to you, Vijay.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. All right, gentlemen. The level that we see the games every week, the league setup, most of the cricket may be played on artificial surface, AstroTurf, matting wicket stuff. So also the grassing is a little higher, more grassing than what it is normally seen in other parts of the world. Right? We don't have squares with no grass and all that stuff. Chances of ball getting scratched is very less. The natural wear and tear would be very less in our setting, right? But things may be a little different when the game is played on natural turf with a big square, very less grass on the square, right? So those are the things you need to consider when you start looking at the ball in a suspicious manner, right? Now we don't have boundary boards, perimeter boards and all that. We don't have roping, it's just cones around, right? And we may not have hard objects like light towers, stadium seating, stuff like that. You don't see any of them around the ground. You may see, sometimes you may see some hard rocks and all that stuff. You keep observing the ball when it goes outside. When it goes outside, you see. Before you signal 6 or boundary, you observe where the ball has gone. If it has gone out of your sight, okay, you know you can't see further. Make the signal, that's it. When the ball comes in, make sure you collect the ball, check if it is the same ball. Now, how do you know if it is the same ball, right? So for that, you have to make frequent and irregular inspections. You're not doing it every over. You're doing it at periodic, regular inspections. Now, the players will know, okay, this guy is going to pick this ball second over, fourth over, sixth over. So he may try something in between. So just confuse them. I mean, for the lack of better word, confuse them. Just do it when they expect it the least. Collect the ball casually, walk with the player, watch him, watch the ball as it goes to the bowler. So those are some of the things that you do when you are looking after the ball. Now, with respect to managing the ball, when the game is played on a matting wicket, right, it's not always grassy at the edges of the match. You still see some bare surface. You may see players deliberately throwing the ball on the bare surface. So those are the things you can avoid. For example, a wicketkeeper collecting a ball, he deliberately rolls it up on the bare surface, or he may now try to throw it on one bounce, right? Even though it is towards the end of the innings, don't let that happen. Because once you let that happen, now the team coming to bowl next, they'll start doing it in the third over, second over. When you tell them, don't roll it, he's going to come back and tell you, what did you do when they are rolling? Now you have to be consistent. It doesn't matter even if it is the second last ball of the innings. Don't let that happen, right? So if you see something, take action. If your action is required, take action. Tell the keeper, if you're lucky the captain is somewhere in the circle, first deal with the player. Okay, you dealt with the player, that is repeated, involve the captain as well. Right? Once the captain is involved, that may stop. Right? Even if it doesn't stop, explain what the consequences are. If it doesn't stop, call the captain, skip. This has been happening for more than once now. If this happens, that may be considered as deliberately changing the condition of the ball. Even though no artificial substance is used on it, that may account for deliberately changing the ball, explaining the consequences. That would be a 5 penalty runs. The playing conditions don't require you to suspend the bowler, but again, you are still explaining what the consequences are. And also, along with 5 penalty runs, would be changing the ball. Now, when the ball changes, the captain knows. They have to again start working on the ball, shine it on one side. He knows the pain of again working on the ball. So these are some things that you do when the games are played on a matting wicket or on an artificial turf. The chances of the wear and tear would be much lesser when compared to the wear and tear when the game is played on natural turf, right? Bare square, grassy square. The pitch in Florida, most of the times the games used to happen, as an example, until before the T20 World Cup, it used to be bare, no grass at all. Even for that matter, Musa Stadium, bare, no grass. When that happens, you know what you are going into. When you're going into the game, the pre-game meeting you have with your partner. Okay, this is the ground we are going to. The day before, okay, we are going to this ground. The pitch is going to be very bare. Now you see the players from the square deliberately trying to throw it on the square, right? To off one side of it. When this happens, it's going to off on one side. Now what happens to the other side? So that is deliberately done, right? So you can always tell them, throw somewhere on the side when you're sending it to the keeper, or if it is within the 30 yards, don't throw it on the bounce. There are players who do that deliberately when they're doing it from within the 30 yards, unless a run out is involved. When there is a chance of a run out, you cannot ask the player not to throw the ball on a full, right? You can roll it, you can throw it on the bounce, you can leave it at that. But if there is no chance of a run out, don't let them throw the ball on the bounce within the 30 yards. And one thing that this is something we came to know recently. So ball played to long on, long off regions. We see players throwing the ball. The nearest distance is giving the ball to the bowler. No run out, no chance of run out at the wicket keeper's end. Throws the ball on the pitch, goes into the wicket keeper. Wicket keeper collects it. Now he again tries to roll it, stuff like that. Now when that happens, now you know what's happening. The moment you see that happening once or twice, you have that feeling inside something is not right. This is happening when it is not necessary at all. Now turn to the player, ask him, pitch it outside the pitch. Pitch it outside the pitch. If there is some grassy area, pitch it outside the pitch area. Right? So you can do that. Now, same thing, like in the example before. The player still continues to do that, involve the captain, take the official course of action if required. You may consider that as changing the condition of the ball deliberately. You may change the ball. But before you do that, explain what the consequences are to the fielding captain. Do that, be with both the teams when you do that. Okay? That's all I have. Any questions? Yeah.
Say when you go to officiate, mostly teams will come with one ball. Even sometimes they don't have practice. Or they have the box of new balls that you guys give, and the ball gets damaged. Right. So what would be the course of action?
So, yeah, we ran into this situation in a T20 match recently with Bangladesh. Before the close of the innings, we didn't have a suitable replacement for a relatively newer ball. A seam got torn. New thing came up and we didn't have anything. All the balls that we had on about 10 overs, 12 overs, 14 overs. So in that case, that happens relatively earlier in the innings. All you could do was find what is the suitable replacement. If you feel the suitable replacement is a newer ball, you have to use it. So we can't go away from it. You have to use it. Now, how you sell that decision to the players, you have to explain them. If you want to play with the older ball, the other balls that we have are relatively older. This is the only ball that is relatively closer to the wear and tear that this ball has received. So that's what you have to tell them. Uniform
You sometimes scratch them on the
We have seen that in old days. Nowadays it doesn't happen, but umpire used to start on the ground like that.
So now,
Let's
if
stop
you-
now, right? Like nowadays we don't see that.
So if a player asks you to do that, you do that now. Now the next time when you are not watching it, or the player might have something in his pocket, he does the same thing. When you gather the ball, inspect it, and question him on something, he's gonna say,
You did.
"You are the one who did it. I did not do anything. The scratch is from when you rubbed it on your hand. So you have nowhere to go." So just tell him it can't be done. There is no scratching of the ball. You have to play with this ball. Are you confident with your answers? Look at them straight in the eye. Fielding captain, this is the ball we are taking. We have no other way. The batsman has a problem with it. After again explaining what situation you are in. You don't have any more balls to put the replacement from. This is the closest replacement you have.
So on the square like Florida or the Musa Stadium, there is no grass. All we see the most of the time we have seen the far side. They don't even start. If the single run is scored, ball is too long off or long on. Ball is always off to run up, and most of the time throws are through to the wicket keeper, and throws are not coming direct to the wicket keeper. Right? It's are playing U17, U19, this 21, third man. So consistently the one bounce are coming. So that situation we have to be consistent both the times because we cannot tell them not to throw. Because we cannot expect them throwing a reset. No, this is what I can throw. I can throw all the way from the 70 yard, 22 yards or the 90 yards. I don't have to.
How do you explain it? You can tell them if they keep doing it consistently, necessarily not to the keeper. I mean, you not throw to the keeper all the time. Because if he's doing that, the ball is going to get
Yes, but that is
chipped all the way, right? Unless required, please don't do it.
okay.
Unless required, please don't do it. Use the word please. Unless required, please don't do it. Right?
We can request them to pass it on.
Yeah, pass it on. I mean, there is no run-out possible. Point in throwing on a bare surface. The ball is going to get you.
Now, if the one run is completed, as soon as they pick up the ball, the first thing is to rule the wicket keeper, right? Even though the second run is involved or not. That's what we are normally seeing in cricket, like the fast bowlers, they don't stop there to collect the throw. They know that.
Communication.
That's what.
Deep-
Just to handle the situation like that, right? We can't ask them
Or even before the game for that matter. Even before the game. This is the surface we are playing on. This is what we are studying. Right? So have a word with the captain. Both agree. So that's easily manageable. Something is agreed before the game, much easily manageable.
Yeah, because Musa and Florida, whenever we watch those matches, we are open all three. There's no grass at all because
And one other thing I missed out earlier was clothing. Clothing vendors get clothes from all over the world. Not all of them are compliant with what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Some of them may come with zippers, right? These are some things we observed in many cash prize T20 leagues that are played in US. They come with zippers. Now, that happens. So again, part of your preparation, once you go to a game, or you know a league where you are umpiring that has clothing suppliers that send them zippers. Right? If it is possible before the season, if you can prevent it, talk to the league administrators, tell them zippers not allowed. Please don't get clothing with the zippers. This is outside the game, but again, if you do that, that will help you officiate the games in a smooth manner. You don't run into situations where players are doing this. You need not check the ball every time and stuff. When the ball goes to the wicket keeper, just keep an eye where the ball is going, who is doing it, and all that stuff. The moment you inspect the ball the first time, you know which person is doing it. You have pointed out which person is doing it. You can, maybe look at him for a little more time. That way he's cautious. You are looking at him. Now, when you are involving the captain, you are explaining the consequences, right? Whichever, once the player is identified, that will go into penalty. If the player is not identified, the captain is the identified player, right? You need not worry if a player is not identified. Once you see that the condition has been deliberately changed, but you don't know the player, it is now on the captain, right? You explain it to the captain, tell him it is on you if you are not taking care of this ball from now on. 5 penalty runs kicks in the next time that happens, along with changing the condition.
Yeah, I had a question about like if it's wet, it's moist, dew, rain, that sort of thing. They have these cloths. They'll have their cloths. You'll probably have your own cloth as well. Do you like? I guess I'm asking in like a local league versus in a professional setting. But in the local leagues, are you checking those cloths to make sure that they're not rough on one side, that they're like the correct? I mean, we can't be like saying this is the right fabric, but like, do you have like an idea of what is crossing the line of like rough, and they're catching the ball with the cloths, and like, how do you balance that communication to like let them know what they can and can't do, what crosses the line?
So, the conditions are moist, right? You expect the ball to get wet. Now you also expect the ball for the players to dry the ball. They'll be carrying cloth, right? And all players are carrying cloths. All of them may start doing it, right? The moment you reach the ground, you know the ground is going to be moist. You can have a word with the captains, right? Are you carrying cloths and what kind of material it is? Just a normal conversation. You're not suspecting anything, you're not preempting anything. What kind of material is it? Okay, is it abrasive? It's not abrasive, just have a word with him. If it is abrasive, have a word with him. Tell him if any of your players are carrying any abrasive cloths, please don't do it. We don't want the game to go in a different direction. I don't want to get involved in the game. Just have open conversation, open and honest conversation.
Also, in the wet condition, make frequent observation of the ball. It will give you like if some cloth is bad, it may be unintended, but you will check it early. Depending on the ground condition, it makes more frequent.
And then I had another question, I guess, with like pieces of the leather sort of peels back when you cut those off, and then when you have, sometimes the players will just do it themselves. Like I'm talking the local leagues without showing you first or doing that. How do you manage that sort of thing?
So when you
Like
observe
dirt.
the ball, the kind of markings on the ball kind of tell you what's happening actually, right? Nail marks, objects used. Sometimes you may have to smell the ball too. There is artificial substance used. You never know. There might be Vaseline inside the pocket. Might be just doing it here. Sunscreens all over, right? Ball being rubbed while he's walking back to his mark. That's when again teamwork comes into picture. While you're watching him walking back, your partner takes over once he passes you, so you'll be watching him. And again, pre-game thing. If you see any player with lots of sunscreen, those are the players you have to keep an eye on. And you can have conversations with him, tell him, I know I'm not stopping you from using sunscreen, but again, I don't want that substance to get on the ball. You can polish it elsewhere, but not on your forearms, not on your head, because you have sunscreen on your face. You can use sweat by all means, but not from the forehead. Right? You can use sweat from here, but I don't want to see that ball being rubbed on the sunscreen. Right?
And if you ever see anybody doing something that could be illegal or changing the condition of the ball, just ask them for the ball. And they will be shaken up and they will stop whatever they're doing. And for at least the next few overs, they won't do what they were doing. I've had it before where the fall of a wicket, the ball was sticky. Now, no natural substance makes the ball sticky. So maybe they learned from Faf du Plessis with the mint gate, and they put some sweet substances on the ball. So all we did is, because we didn't see it happen, we called the captain over, as he is responsible for the team's ball management, and we said, Captain, this ball is sticky. No natural substance would make the ball sticky. We're giving you 2 overs to make this ball natural again. If it's not natural in 2 overs, then we're going to have to take action. And you should have seen how busy they were fixing that ball. Okay, so there's various ways that you can handle players that you are suspicious of them changing the condition of the ball without throwing the law book at them. Threats always work, but again, you don't need to be angry and use aggressive language. Just be calm and tell them of the consequences of their actions, and usually that helps to stop the behavior.
Just on the side of the ball, some players like to run their leg in the center. That makes the ball wobble. So when you inspect the ball, not just look on the side, but also look on the center. Now, as he's going, you can see the elbows moving. He's walking back, right? Hey, call him with his name. Can I see the ball, please? Can I see the ball, please? Okay. There is nothing, give it back. Do it like 2-3 times. This bowler, that bowler, not picking anyone. That's going to help as well. And sometimes you may see, again, individual players. If you know them, if you know players who are known to do this, again, a little extra watch may help. But again, don't overdo it. Trying to catch them all the time. A little extra watch would always help. Thank you.
Guys, now we know how to handle ball management, and I don't hear any stories about ball tampering coming out of the US. Thank you very much, Vijay.